NRL 2023 regular season done and dusted for the New Zealand Warriors. Unfortunately going down in their last hit out to the Dolphins. Let's take a look how this one played out. Hey team, welcome back into the Warriorholic. It's been a long time actually since I've had to sit down and do one of these off the back of a loss. While it's disappointing, I think there were plenty of good signs in there, and it's probably not an unexpected outcome there if we're completely honest. So before I get started, I've just got to say, I never like doing a review before I've been and watched the game twice. When you watch live, you miss so much. You're dealing with that emotion. I like to go back and sort of stop things and sort of slow things down and have a look and see if I can identify what caused, things like all those line breaks we conceded. But honestly, I don't have time. I've got to fly tomorrow. I've got to check out here early in the morning, so I'm not going to have time to record this tomorrow. Don't really want to wait until Tuesday to do it after I get back on Monday. Off the back and no sleep on the plane, so I thought I'm just going to pump this out. So bear with me. Don't kill me too much on the perceptions I get coming out of what I saw live. But hopefully the stats sort of helped balance things out there and gave me a bit of an insight into what might have happened. So first up, congratulations to the Dolphins. What a successful first year in the competition for them. Probably met everyone's expectations. Wayne's not a guy who's going to ever bring in a team that's going to get a spoon. They had a lot of really experienced sort of tide rising forward players in there. A couple of X-factor backs in there. And Hammer, Isako, who really stepped up and exceeded their, the form that they've been showing in recent years for their previous team. So well done to them. It's good for them to finish on a high there. 35,000 members already signed up for that club. I think it's the third biggest in the comp, they said in the commentary there. So, a lot of positives for them to take out. Guys like Flegler coming in next year, it's going to make a big difference to them. So, I've heard from a couple of Dolphins fans actually over social media have said they're going to jump on our bandwagon now. So, thanks to them. But well done. Congratulations and, outstanding game today. Particularly from Kodi Nikorima. I think that was one of the best games I've seen from him in a long time. He dominated us, up against a young half there in Volkman. Just his ability to drift across the field, drift through a gap there, put people away. That was outstanding for him. I thought Jared Wallace had a great game. Hammer and Isako solid again. Tessie New was really strong there. Tafare. Overall, I just thought they all played really well. For us, I think it was always going to be difficult. It was almost like a trial game where you're getting people thrown together at the last minute who haven't played together for a very long time. And I think what cost us in the end was combinations. Just not trusting that guy inside you on defense, not quite getting passes right. So it was just a little bit rusty, like an early season hit out. But what are you going to do? That was the situation. I think it was still the right call to rest those guys. We didn't want to risk injuries to our big players. So all in all, I think, we'll get some positives out of that. We've got some miles in the legs of guys like Tamati Martin, so that's only going to help them be better next week. But, yeah, disappointing all in all. But let's take a bit of a look at the stats. I mean, man, this is a bit depressing. First time they have to do this after a loss for a while. But, the way the game started, I just kind of felt, I'm not going to be a ref bagger in that I think he was biased against us. I just don't think he was overly consistent with his calls. I think he let both teams hold down too much in the ruck, but we got pinged a little bit more than they did. A lot of forward passes going away, and it's just one of those things when you don't quite get those bounces. Things like Volkman's kick just going over the dead ball line. Instead of being a try, you end up with a 7-tackle set, and that really punished us. Those first 20 minutes with no ball and that heat, it fatigued us, and it was always going to be really difficult to come back from that. But I thought we were much more competitive in the second half, So, yeah, let's get into the stats, 30-14, 6 tries to them, 2 to us, 5 from 6 from Isako there, and 1 from 2 for Pompey with the kicking. Possession 54-46. It was probably something like 25% after the first sort of 30 minutes there, so it's pretty good to kind of get it relatively even out there. Completion rate's only 70% for them, so it shows they did a relatively good job in scoring with their opportunities to get 6 tries at 70% completion. Only 75 for us. It's still a bit of a concern there. Attack-wise, all runs 212 for them and 165 for us. Wow, big difference there. Running meters they had about 300 more metres than us there at 2,095, and us only getting 1,732. Post-contact metres, though, we beat them by a relatively decent whack there. 590 to them, 625 to us. Line breaks at 15-3. Wow. Bad for us to only have the 3, but geez, 15 to them. And Nikorima, I think, had his hands on pretty much 2/3 of those. Again, well done to him. Tackle breaks not too dissimilar, 36 to 32. Kick defusal, 100% for them and 90 for us. I think that was a lot better this week. Biggie Kossi under the high ball there. Got a couple of takes, Tuapiki taking a couple. So that's a bit better because we were down around the 50% rate for the past couple of weeks. So, there are a few positives there. Average distance per set, 51.11 metres versus 46.48. Offloads, 21 to 8. I think that's something we're going to have to be really careful of. With our defensive structures, we don't rush up too quickly. We try not to get 4 guys in the tackle, whatever. And it just leaves those guys with the opportunity to get that ball free. When you've got a bit of fatigue there, that second phase ball can kill a team, and I think that's what really got us in that first half today. So we've got to learn to tie that ball up a little bit more effectively. Tackle efficiency, 86.36 for them, 81.17 for us. This is one of our worst efforts, I think, on defense as far as tackles made versus tackles missed. 311 tackles made by them, 332 by us. 32 missed, though, for them. I wouldn't have realised they'd missed almost as many as us, with 36 missed by us. But 13 ineffective versus 41 ineffective tackles by us. Quite a few of those off Tefare, bouncing people off, or like Nikorima bouncing in and out of tackles. So that's something, again, we really need to wrap up. Negative plays, 12 errors for them, 14 for us. Again, way up into those double figures is not something we want going into a final. Penalties conceded, it's been a while since we've lost the penalty count, 2 to 5. Ruck infringements, just the 2 versus 1. Inside the 10, 3 versus 0. I think that's bullshit, to be honest. There were so many ruck infringements that weren't called, and I think that really slowed down our play of the ball, which is something we were looking to try and get going. So a little bit of a shame there. But again, the stats probably slightly in their favour, reflecting on the score in the end. Alrighty, into the individuals. Tane Tuapiki. Again, reminded guys, I don't give these scores kind of comparing apples for apples. This is kind of like what I feel they delivered versus a 10 out of 10 game. So I felt like Tane delivered at about 70%, so I gave him a 7. 185 running metres, 20 runs in total, 74 post-contact, which is interesting. He's actually making more post-contact metres than Changes. I think that late little step and the agility there helps him get that little bit of momentum there. Very rarely gets pushed backwards, so well done to him with that. But tackle efficiency, 28%. 2 made, 3 misses, and 2 ineffective tackles there. 3 tackle breaks and 1 error. So overall, I thought he played well. Look, he's always a threat. He's full of energy. I just felt like he was in a situation where he wasn't connecting well, or like others weren't connecting with him. So he was just trying to use his X factor to try and create things out of nothing. So all credit to him for doing that. But yeah, it's something we really need to work on. How we integrate these guys into the team when we've got a few people out. I guess that's probably lucky that while we've had a lot of injuries this season, we haven't had a lot at one time, and particularly in the spine. So when Tuapiki's come in, the rest of our spine has been pretty consistent around him. So again, not his worst game in the world, but again, a sign that he's still got a little bit there to improve on as he builds his game before he eventually becomes a full-time first grade fullback there. Ed Kossi, good to see him back. 10 games at the start of the season, got a really good roll on. Then a couple of knee injuries. I watched him playing in Cup. He had a couple of really good games, and he had a bit of a struggle there when he played at Mount Smart, struggling with his knees, had a couple of drop balls. So I was wondering how he'd go coming up into first grade, but I thought he killed it. He's just shown that he's definitely a level above where he was last year. I gave him a 7.5. 148 metres, 49 post contact. Tackle efficiency wasn't the best, but I think that was just, again, a lot of these tackle efficiencies were related to poor cohesion on defense, which left people exposed, rather than individual poor reads or poor technique being the specific reason for this. Four tackles made, 2 misses and no ineffective tackles, 2 tackle breaks, 2 errors and 1 handling error. So there's a few errors and a few missed tackles, so 7.5 is a bit much, but I just felt like he had a strong presence on the field, ran the ball hard, took the ball well, to show me that he's capable of stepping up there. If he was playing in a more sort of solid backline there, probably wouldn't made as many mistakes on defense. I don't know. So he gave me confidence that he's definitely capable of stepping up if we need him during the finals there. Montoya, I thought he had a pretty good game other than defense. 184 meters, 52 post contact, 32% tackle efficiency though. 4 made, 5 misses, and 2 ineffective. 4 tackle breaks and no errors. Look, I thought on attack his running was as strong as we've seen him all season, which is why I kind of gave him a 7, but probably even could have given him less just because of the defensive errors there. But again, get him back there with all of the other boys around him. I think he'll definitely be ready to do a job up against the Panthers next week. Up against a couple of the bigger meter eaters in the competition, and I think he'll be able to hold his own. I think he'll take it to the next level next week. So not his greatest game ever, but not too bad. Rocco Berry, he continues to be a rock on defense, hence the rock, Rocco Berry, but not a lot of involvement there on attack. Not a lot of ball came his way. Quite interesting, a lot of our attack went left this week, I guess, with Tamati Martin kind of being the main ball player there. Volkman having a bit of a quiet game, so he sort of suffered from that there, not making many runs, didn't come in and get too many runs there. But tackle efficiency, 21 made, 5 missed and 1 ineffective. While he missed a couple, he turned and got the guy himself, so covered up those tackles. So that's why for me I still give him a 7. I think he's definitely a very solid centre for us to have there going into the finals. So 2 tackle breaks, 1 line break, just the 1 handling error. So overall I thought he played okay, but probably 10-15% down on what he's been delivering. So I think he's been up around an 8.5 recently, close to man and match a couple of times. But today, probably about a 7. Adam Pompey. I thought he played one, again, every week over the past 3 weeks. I felt like he's got better and better. He's got more involved. I gave him an 8.5 just purely for that involvement, his aggression, his contribution on attack, the number of tackles he's making. So 186 metres is by far his most metres this year. He showed some relatively good speed. He showed some really good footwork again at the line. And that ability to get that pass off to Montoya in contact there, I thought that was a real sign that he has got some special skill about him. So tackle efficiency 72, 18 made, 4 missed, 3 ineffective. Again, up against Tafare, I thought he did all right. He's a huge boy, Adam Pompey, but he probably gave away 20 kgs. 6 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 try assist, 1 handling error and 1 error. Overall, again, I thought he was probably one of the best on the field today. I think he played one of his best games and justified his 8.5. Looking for him to step it up again. We're going to need him to really be good next week. I'm not sure if he's on Crichton's side or not, but if he is, really going to have to fire up on defence there to control him. He had another good game tonight. Tamati Martin, I gave him a 7. He only ran for the 21 metres. Tackle efficiency 82%, 23 tackles though, 3 misses, 2 ineffective, 1 line break assist, but the 3 errors and 3 handling errors. Just a sign of a lack of footy, I think. A sign that he was probably trying to do a little bit too much there, getting a little bit too creative, just trying to pull something out of his ass to get that momentum shifted back. But what I'm really happy about is we saw he was solid on defence there. When was the last time Montoya scored a try like that with him open out that left-hand side? That's a great sign for me. Get SJ back next week on the right side. That gives us options both sides of the field. That's something we haven't had since he's been gone. So overall, I thought he had a pretty solid contribution, a 7 out of 10. I don't think you'll make those same silly mistakes next week because we won't have to be so panicky with so many the top players back there around him. So miles in the legs, you can see he's gassed a couple of times, but not too bad all in all. Volkman, I think he just kind of struggled again. Combinations, they targeted him, their line speed at him, probably gave him a little bit less time than he's used to with the ball in his hand. Struggling to find those connections with the players around them because he hasn't played 7 in the starting lineup there ever. I gave him a 6.5 just because he struggled to control the game as well as I thought he would, as well as he has been doing in Cup. That will come. I have no question that he's definitely a highly capable 7, and with 7s, very rarely do they come in and just dominate, from the very early stages of their career, so we've got to be patient with them. Kicking meter 630. I thought his kicking game was a strength. He put that one out, put a couple dead, but they were, there wasn't much going on. They were, half a metre from being really awesome plays that could have got tries and really turned the momentum of the game. One rule I really do hate about the NRL actually is that bloody, when he almost gets a hand on that ball, and I'm sure that they actually tapped it dead, but they set it so fast, they get that 7 tackle set. Such a punishment having that 7 tackle set when you're trying to make it a genuine attacking play, so I'm not a huge fan of that. Tackle efficiency though, 57, 12 tackles made, 1 missed and 8 ineffective. Not a huge guy there. Probably needs to work on his technique a little bit because I don't think you'd give away too much weight difference to a guy like SJ or particularly Metcalf because he's a lot thicker. But maybe just sort of that tackling technique when he's going high and those big guys are getting bumped off. 1 tackle break, 2 errors and 1 handling error. Again, overall not too bad, but I just think he's still got a lot left in him, so that's why he got a 6.5 for me. Not sort of necessarily singling him out of the whole team, but I just think he probably would have expected a little bit more of himself, and I think he'll deliver more the next time he gets a chance. Bunty Afoa, I think there'll be a lot of guys out there grumbling and moaning about, Bunty's contribution. A lot of talk about Tom Ali, who should be the person selected there. I gave Bunty a 7 because he delivered at a very similar level to he has done all year. He played a bit bigger minutes than he normally does at 34 minutes there. 7 runs, 70 metres, post-contact metres of 32. So on a per run basis, he's actually not that bad. He just doesn't make a lot of runs because he's doing the tackling instead. 96% tackle efficiency, 24 tackles made with just the 1 ineffective tackle. But again, I'm not sure how they count those. He's definitely involved in more tackles than that, and maybe it's only the first 2 tacklers that they count or something because, like I said, he's involved in 3 tackles a set when he's out there. And I know that's one of the reasons they'll have him there. His ability to hold the guy, flip him over on his back, get back into position well. He's really good on the ground with the players with his wrestle. Just the 1 tackle break and no errors. I mean, that's Bunty. Get out there for the first 20 minutes, make the tackle, take the energy out of him, don't make any errors. I'll get on to Tom Ali a little bit in a moment, but there will be some conjecture as to whether Bunty gets a spot next week if Jazz comes back. If you only have 1 prop on the bench, who do you go for there? Mitch Barnett, I gave him an 8 in a team that sort of struggled. I think he had a very solid impact. 58 minutes played, 17 runs for 169 metres, 57 post-contact metres, as good as any other props going around, other than maybe the guys like AFB and Haas. They're good metres. They're genuine prop metres there. Tackle efficiency, 87%, 30 tackles made. Just the 3 misses and 4 ineffective. And I think the 4 ineffective come from him, or the misses often is when he's just trying to put that big hit on it to try and turn the momentum of a game. So I'm not going to be too critical on him on those. 1 tackle break and no errors again. So it's great to see since that Tigers game. Actually, he hasn't played, so that's why he hasn't had errors. But no errors today. So I thought he was a leader out there. He hit hard. You could see him trying to change the momentum. You know, there's not a huge amount more you could expect for a guy playing in that position without a partner like AFB. So well done to him. Freddie Lussick, I gave a 7. 64 minutes played, just the 4 runs, 34 run meters, 11 post contact. Tackle efficiency 81%, 30 tackles made, just 3 misses and 4 ineffective. I thought he was relatively solid from that aspect. 2 tackle breaks, no handling errors. The reason I gave him a 7 is, look, I just think he struggled with his timing out of dummy half. I don't know if it was the runners or I don't know if it was him, but often the runner was having to stop and restart again because he was, the timing wasn't quite right there. Just the ruck fluidity definitely wasn't up there with where we get when we've got Egan there. So, and it probably wasn't his best game ever, but still not bad in a losing side. So I think he's worthy of a 7. Josh Curran in the losing side, he was my man of the match. I gave him a 9. 80 minutes, 2 weeks in a row there. 14 runs for 173 metres, 45 post-contact metres. That's one of the biggest metres we've seen from him this season. 88% tackle efficiency, 36 tackles, the most of anyone on our side there. 1 miss, 4 ineffective. 4 tackle breaks, 1 line break. The error, a couple of errors there and a handling error. But I just felt like he was, he looked gassed in the first 20 minutes with the amount he was doing, but still maintaining that. I was a bit worried it was actually a calf strain rather than the cramp, but he managed to play through that. I just thought he just led the way. Chatting with was up there on an Insta Live after the game, having a bit of a discussion about how did the back row look next week. I was always a fan of Ford starting and the impact of Curran off the bench, but Curran's shown that he's played really, really well starting. Jackson had a bigger impact than I expected off the bench last week, so to be really curious to see how they go. Both of them are a guarantee. You have them having them in the side. Just curious to see which one they start, particularly up against the Panthers. I have a feeling Jackson will start, given that they rested him this week and given the minutes that Curran played. I know it frustrates him. He wants to be that first choice, but I think the way we look at it now is, that 17 now is the way it goes. It's not. I don't think it's a detraction to be playing on the bench because of the role he can play by covering so many positions there. So, well done to him. Man of the match for me. Marata, I gave him a 7.5. I thought he ran hard, but he didn't run as often. 51 minutes for just the 8 runs. Only 86 metres this week. 41 post-contact. That was about half what he had last week. Tackle efficiency 80%. 20 tackles, slightly up. 1 miss and 4 ineffective there. 4 tackle breaks and no errors. Just struggled to get involved quite as much as he has done over the past couple of weeks, and fatigue maybe sort of catching up with him because he's had a huge work rate over the past 2 or 3 weeks. So not a bad game, but just probably not at that elite level we've seen from the past couple of weeks. So 7.5 for me. Dylan Walker, this is a tough one. Being captain in this sort of unusual environment here, taking over from a man who does the job of 2 or 3 people was always going to be a challenging task. Starting at the 13, I think we saw, there's a big difference between coming on at 13 after the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes versus starting. He looked pretty gassed there after his first stint. Probably playing a little bit tighter than he normally does. So in his 48 minutes, he just had the 7 runs. So he's obviously distributing a bit there. Only the 69 metres. He's normally up over 100 with the 20 post contact. But 96% tackle efficiency. 26 tackles made and just the 1 ineffective tackle there. No miss. 2 tackle breaks and no errors. So he didn't do a lot wrong. But I don't think he quite had that big high energy impact that we normally see from him. And I think he'll be the first to admit he probably was a little bit frustrated there that he couldn't have as big an impact. He couldn't lead from the front as much as he would have liked to. So, yeah, I still think he's worthy of a 7. Kalani Going. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit surprised when I looked at the stats because I thought he was really good. Well, he was actually good, but I thought he'd run more. I mean, it's 35 minutes. He only had the 6 runs for 67 metres, 26 post contact, but I just felt like he was running more. I felt like he had an energy about him. He looked like he was made to be there. I was always wondering whether he was a little bit small, but he reminds me a bit of Ethan Bullymore from Manly. They're not huge guys, but runs with a real level of strength beyond his size. Defense, 82%, 18 tackles, 2 missed, 2 ineffective. Nothing to complain about that there. So Kalani going. I thought he played really, really well. I thought he showed that he belongs in first grade. I kind of wonder if perhaps he's a little bit small to be playing in the middle there, but he just showed that he's one of those guys who's stronger than he looks. It reminds me of Ethan Bullymore from Manly. Not a big guy, but always has a massive impact. I was a little bit surprised he only made the 6 runs in his 35 minutes. I felt like he ran more. 66 metres and 26 post contact. So that's, well over, 11 metres per carry. So he's making good metres there and good post contact. 82% tackle efficiency, 18 tackles there. 2 missed, 2 ineffective, and no errors. I felt like he belonged there. No complaints whatsoever. 26, it's a late debut, but I guess COVID sort of impacted on that. But I have every confidence that he's a guy you can bring in when you need him. Would he command a spot with everyone there? Potentially not, but you can definitely see, he's an experienced footballer, held his own. I think he looked very fit out there, didn't look overwhelmed by the speed or the level of intensity. So I think he can walk off that field with his head held really high there. Likewise, Paul Roach, some may say a 7 out of 10 for him with just 16 minutes played is a lot. But again, debut, he didn't do anything wrong. He did everything that was needed of him. So for me, when you've got coming in on such a big stage, there would have been 35,000 people there, probably the biggest crowd he's ever played in front of. He held his own. I haven't seen him play a huge amount, but I like him. I think there's a lot of good about him. In 16 minutes, he didn't go for it or take any runs, so no run meters or post contact meters, but 91% tackle efficiency, 10 tackles made, just the 1 miss, 1 handling error, no handling errors. But he did concede the penalty there. But again, young guy, all that pressure on him after all those years trying hard. I think that was worthy of a 7 for me. More than happy with what he contributed. Bailey Seranen, I thought he had again another one of his best games this season. Actually, again, I'll say it again, I like him in the middle. I gave him an 8. 60 minutes played was his biggest minutes, I think, in the middle there. 12 runs for 133 metres, 54 post contact, 85% tackle efficiency with 33 made, so most tackles he's made from my memory. 3 missed and 3 ineffective, 1 tackle break and the 1 error. I thought he was very solid. He's continued to show to me that due to his versatility, particularly his ability to cover prop there, but also be able to cover hooker, 5'8" centre, he cemented a spot. I still wonder why they let him go so early and whether they may reconsider that. It's been very quiet, like he hasn't said he's signed with anyone else. Given that versatility he's shown and clearly shown he fits into this structure really well, do they end up re-signing him? I'd have no problem if they did. I've heard one of the comments made on the post, one of my posts earlier this year was saying that the guy said he knows him, that he really wants to stay. So he's definitely in the lineup for me next week, regardless of the various combinations. Personally, I would have him there as cover at hooker. I don't think we can afford to carry 2 hookers against Penrith. So well done to him. Tom O'Leary, great to see him come back to, I think, what was his full potential. Had some really great games in the beginning of the season, sort of dropped off a little bit of his, it's probably one of those things, the young guy there playing in his first full season of first grade, it does start to take a toll on the body. Couple of weeks off back down there in Cup seemed to refresh him. I gave him an 8 out of 10 in his 32 minutes played, 12 runs, 143 metres, 61 post contact, 95% tackle efficiency, 19 tackles made with just the 1 ineffective tackle, 1 tackle break, 1 error and 1 handling error. So even with those couple of little errors there, I think he gave away a penalty. I just thought his little step at the line screwed a couple of people, put him through little gaps there, allowed him to make that post-contact meters. You could see, it seemed like he had that fire in him. Seemed really happy out there. You know, again, I don't know. I really doubt Webby would drop Bunty and keep him, just purely given on what we've seen in the way Webby selects over this year. But when you look at contribution, I think there's it's pretty hard for me with what I know about footy. Yeah, it's pretty hard for me to argue that Bunty should be there ahead of him when he only made 4 more tackles, basically the same tackle efficiency, but well under half the running meters. So if he could deliver this week in, week out, I think that's what we're looking for him to be, that Spencer Leniu kind of high energy prop coming off the bench going forward. You know, how this sits out next week, I really don't know with the bench rotation here. So for me, I think the backline picks itself next week. It's going to be SJ, Tamati Martin, Pompey, Berry, DWZ, Montoya, and CNK at the back there. 4 packs, I think they will probably go for Barnett, definitely Egan, AFB, Marata and Ford will be my guess, given the minutes that, as I said, Curran played today. Hopefully Tohu's back. Then it's, how does your bench look? I think the 2 that picked themselves is Walker and Ciro. If Jazz is back, I have a feeling if they're really confident in his injury, he comes in, just for the energy that he brings. Then the 3rd player on the bench is probably got to be, the 4th player's got to be Curran for me. So I don't think we see Ali or Afoa next week, particularly with Ciro's ability to cover the middle there that he's showing. Walker can cover the middle, Jazz can cover the middle. I think at a pinch, the only reason we'd probably take Egan off is if he gets injured. So then it's just got to be down to risking Ciro. But it won't be too hot. So after with a week off, Egan's going to play 80 minutes. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to see on the bench here is Walker, Jazz, Curran, and Ciro. That'll be my team next week, guys. We know we're playing the Panthers now. I'm not sure which day. I haven't had a chance to check that. Well done to the Panthers. Back-to-back minor premiers. I've always thought that they were going to be the favourite for me to win the comp this year. That said, on our best day, I think we stack up against them better than we do against the Storm or Brisbane. So I'm not too worried about playing them. It'll be a tough challenge. But I think with the boys refreshed there, I think they will have come up with some interesting ideas to deal with the guys charging SJ. Having that Tamati Martin option there is going to give him a little bit, less traffic just coming at him, because you've got that other creative option there. So who knows, people? Panthers played really, really well today, but they had close to their best side out. I'm fairly sure they're not going to have Luai back. If they do, that shoulder's not going to be in great shape, so we'll be able to target with guys like, Marata or Ford. I can't remember which edge he'll be on there. Disappointing today, but I got what I was looking for. I wanted to see what these guys could come up and deliver as individuals. Should they be needed during the finals, because they won't have, all of these other ad hoc people on the field with them. They'll be fitting into our top team if they're needed, and I think to a man they all stepped up, showed that we've got that depth there, showed that we've got that young talent coming through. So it's an exciting time, people. Take some time to refresh this week. Get ready for it. It's going to be pretty exciting this weekend. I don't think too many people are going in there thinking we're just going to waltz through it. Probably in the back of your mind you think we'll have to get lucky to get away with it. But either way, I think we'll be competitive. Like I said, we play to our potential. They're slightly off. I think we can beat them. Either way, the week after that, it's going to be in Auckland. I hope I can get a ticket. Man, this is going to be the most exciting couple of weeks for a very long time. Let's do it, guys. See you next week.